President Donald Trump, known for his bold moves on trade, has now turned his attention toward Europe. Earlier, he had clashed with Canada, Mexico, and China over trade deals, and now Europe finds itself in the spotlight. In a recent announcement that grabbed headlines, Trump declared that he plans to place new tariffs on European goods. He claims that the European Union, EU, has been treating the United States unfairly in trade, putting America at a disadvantage. For a while now, the Trump team has argued that Europe's trade rules are hurting the US economy. They believe that certain practices in Europe are making it harder for American businesses to compete. In retaliation, the US government has warned that it might put extra taxes on a wide range of items. This includes everything from cars and steel to farm products and electronics. Within Europe, different countries are reacting in their own ways. Sweden, for example, is a strong supporter of free trade and has always backed negotiating solutions. However, if Trump sticks to his plan without compromise, Sweden may join with other EU members in striking back with its own set of penalties. Spain, another key player in Europe, has deep trade ties with the United States. Many Spanish businesses rely on selling olive oil, wine, fruits, vegetables, and even car parts to American markets. Should the US impose tariffs on these products, Spain might decide to target American goods like food or even technology that operates in Spain. In addition to everyday consumer items, Spain works closely with US companies in sectors like aerospace and defense. If the tension between the two regions grows, Spain could impose extra fees, new taxes, or even limit the number of American products allowed in the country. Such moves might hurt US businesses, making it even harder for American brands to stay competitive in Europe. The automotive industry is one area that might feel the pinch. American car makers like Ford and General Motors already have a small market share in Europe. Adding tariffs could push prices up even further, making these cars less appealing to European buyers. Other famous American brands such as Harley-Davidson and Jeep have already faced extra costs in Europe. New tariffs might cause these brands to lose even more ground. The big question on many people's minds is whether both sides could come to an agreement instead of letting the situation escalate. The EU has shown a willingness to talk and find common ground. However, President Trump's comments suggest that he sees the current trade situation as very unbalanced, and he isn't shy about using strong language. Some people in the United States believe that such a tough stance shows American strength, while many in Europe think Trump's approach is more like bullying. It's also possible that Trump's actions are part of a larger plan to get Europe to make certain changes. For instance, he might be hoping for easier access to European markets for US farm products, or for rules on car manufacturing to be relaxed to favor American companies. Whether these moves are genuine or just a bargaining tactic remains to be seen. Reflecting on the recent trade dispute between the United States and China, many experts are now worried that a clash between the EU and the US could send shockwaves through the global economy. The trade relationship between the EU and the US is incredibly complex. Not only do they exchange similar amounts of goods as the US-China trade, but they also share deep financial investments and intricate service networks. Today, companies in both regions depend on each other through interconnected supply chains. For example, several well-known European brands produce parts or even complete products in the United States. Likewise, many American companies benefit from European technology and components. This close connection means that any further escalation in trade tensions could affect businesses on both sides in unexpected ways. In simple terms, while a trade war might seem like a way for countries to stand up for themselves, the reality is much more complicated. Both sides depend on one another for jobs, investments, and everyday products that people use. The hope among many leaders and experts is that, by talking things out, both the United States and Europe can find a solution that helps everyone, rather than causing harm to each other's economies. So, as the drama unfolds, the world watches closely. Everyone is asking, can both sides come together to solve these problems? Or will this new wave of tariffs lead to more difficulties for businesses and everyday consumers on both sides of the Atlantic? Still watching our video? It means you appreciate. Why don't you subscribe and activate the notification bell? Yes, please do that to receive more of such content. Thank you. Let's dive into how tariffs really shake things up in our everyday world. Imagine big American tech companies with millions of European users. They work with all kinds of business plans and ideas, making the economy a giant, interwoven web. When a government adds tariffs or extra taxes on goods, it isn't just a line on paper. It's more like a ripple that spreads out, touching every part of the system, from huge companies to the stuff we buy at our local stores. So, how do these tariffs affect things like shipping and making products? Let's picture a famous car made in Germany. This car uses special parts that come all the way from the United States. Now, if the US parts have extra taxes when they arrive in Germany, it costs the car maker more money to build that car. The extra cost usually means the car will end up more expensive for buyers. And if that car is sold back in America, it might not be as attractive compared to cars made right here. Think about airplanes too. A well-known company in France, like Airbus, uses American parts to build its planes. If those parts get taxed, then making each airplane costs more. On the flip side, American companies such as Boeing might have to pay extra when buying parts from Europe. This doesn't just affect the big names. Hundreds of smaller companies that supply these parts feel the pinch as well. In a way, a tariff is like pushing the first domino in a long row. When that domino falls, it knocks down the others, one after another. The effect spreads far and wide, touching almost every part of the economy. This uncertainty also makes a big splash in financial markets. When investors see these rising trade tensions, they start worrying. Where should we put our money? Companies begin to hesitate over big decisions like opening new factories or hiring more workers. And when everyone is unsure about the future, even the banks might need to rethink their plans, including the interest rates they charge or offer. Now, you might wonder, what does all this mean for us, the everyday people? Well, when production costs go up because of tariffs, those extra costs often end up being passed on to customers. That means you might notice higher prices when you shop, fewer choices on the shelves, or even a slowdown in economic growth, like when a favorite local store closes because fewer people can afford what it sells. Imagine sharing a pizza with your friends. If one slice suddenly costs more because of extra ingredients, everyone ends up paying a little extra for the whole pie. That's similar to what happens in our global economy. A small change, like a tariff, can ripple through and change how much things cost, what jobs are available, and even what kinds of products are on the market. Imagine your daily shopping trips suddenly becoming more expensive. That's one way tariffs can hit home. Right now, leaders in the European Union are busy crafting a defense plan to protect everyone from these extra costs. They're saying, if President Trump starts adding extra taxes on our goods, we're ready to fight back. investors are already scratching their heads, wondering which businesses will thrive if things get messy. Companies, on the other hand, are hesitating to make big moves like opening new factories because no one wants to gamble on a shaky future. This uncertainty is so big that even central banks might change the way they set interest rates, which can affect everything from stock prices to how much money we exchange when we travel. So, what does all this mean for everyday people like you and me? In simple terms, it usually leads to higher prices, fewer choices at the store, and even the risk of a slowdown in the economy, a recession. When our cost of living goes up, it feels like the price of your favorite ice cream or a cool new toy is more than you expected. That's why the EU's defense plan is such a big deal. Leaders in Brussels are making it clear. If Trump starts slapping on these tariffs, we're not just going to sit back. We have a whole list of actions ready to use. They're even talking about taking the issue to the World Trade Organization and standing shoulder to shoulder with global friends like Canada, Mexico, and China, countries that have had their own run-ins with Trump before. Imagine if all these countries joined forces with the EU. They could form a powerful team that might be too strong for any one nation to take advantage of. But there's a flip side. This kind of big bloc could also spark a trade war that would hurt everyone. Nobody wants a full-blown conflict that disrupts how we live and work together. So, what's going to happen? Will Trump finalize the tariffs soon, prompting Brussels to unleash its own set of rules? Or is there still hope that both sides might find a peaceful agreement that benefits everyone? Some people believe that stepping up the fight won't solve anything, and that working together is the best way forward. This whole situation leaves us with a lot of questions. Can the EU's plan really make Trump rethink his strategy? Or are we about to see a major trade war that shakes up the whole world economy? What do you think? Let us know your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe and like our channel for more updates on this unfolding story.